I want to talk about the attack speed mechanics of Starcraft. So in this video, I'll talk a bit about what attack speed is and how it is represented in the game. I'll explain how attack speed upgrades are calculated, and then I'll share a little bit of information that I think a very small fraction of the community are aware of when it comes to attack speed. And this is primarily because they would not have seen this kind of scenario in regular play, and even regular co-op play. It's a very rare thing, but it's something that can happen, and I think you would find it very interesting. So first, let's start with the basics. The attack speed stat is listed under any unit that has a weapon. You can see the Zergling has a weapon, therefore it has an attack speed. The Adept also has a weapon, and therefore it also has an attack speed stat. If you've looked at unit weapons before, you will probably realize that the lower the weapon speed, the faster the attack speed. So in this case, the Adept has a weapon speed of 2.25, and the Marine has a weapon speed of 0.75, and therefore it attacks a little bit faster. And the reason why this is the case is because the attack speed, or the weapon speed of a unit, is not really the speed. The attack speed is technically the attack period. That is, this is the delay between the consecutive weapon attacks. So when this number goes down, you have a lower delay between weapon attacks, and therefore the unit attacks faster. So in this case, the Adept has a weapon period of 2.25, and therefore it attacks once every 2.25 seconds, or 2.25 game seconds. And likewise for the Marine, every 0.75 game seconds, the Marine takes a shot. So the next question is, how do you calculate a unit's true weapon speed? And the way you do this is you simply take the reciprocal. 1 divided by this weapon speed will give you the unit's true attack speed. Now this also makes upgrade calculations a little bit more tricky. Raynor's Marines, they have Stim, and Stim gives them a 75% increase on their attack speed. But you simply can't take 75% off this number, because think of what would happen if you had a 100% buff, or think of what happened if you had a 150% increase in attack speed. You'd be getting negative numbers. So the way you do it is, again, you do 1 divided by this weapon speed to get the true unit's attack speed. You apply your buff to that new number, and then you need to convert back over to the weapon period, which is again 1 divided by that. And you can see that if we were to do this with a Simbank, that we actually get the number that we have predicted through our calculations. Now we get to the fun part. Now what some people might not be aware is that there is a limitation to weapon attack speed of units. So in this example, let's take a look at this guy. This is Caldalis, and he has 30 points into the Champion AI attack speed mastery. We are using Unconquered Spirit, and he has full Avenging Protocol stats as well. So he has this weapon speed available. You can see through our unit stats calculator that we get a weapon speed of 0.12, which is well within the range of error that was expected from the calculator. But this is what Caldalis looked like when he has all these stacks. And he removes really fast, and he also attacks really fast. See him go? He's just completely wailing on this thing, and he's showing no signs of stopping. Now what I've done here is I've enabled some of the DPS information for Caldalis. And you'll notice something very interesting is he has an average DPS of around 100, somewhere between 95 and 100 DPS. But if you take a look at the unit stats calculator, we calculated his expected DPS to be about 300. So there is a huge discrepancy from this, and the goal is to try and figure out why this is the case. Now certain weapons have delays within them that prevent them from attacking faster, and this results in an effective hard limit as to what their DPS output can be. When you get an attack speed buff on the unit, the buff affects the weapon period only, and that was this period that you're seeing over here. However, for certain weapons, there are other periods that exist within them, and this is usually for weapons that attack multiple times, or weapons that have more complex animations. For Caldalis, he has 2 attacks. You can see here, he swipes one with one blade, and then he swipes a second time with the second blade. So he has 2 attacks, and there is a delay in between these 2 attacks. And if you want to see this delay, it is called Phoenix Caldalis Zealot Psyblade's Burst. I'll put the name on the screen as well. And you can see this delay, that there is a delay of 0.28 roughly between the attacks. And this 0.28 delay is responsible for the hard limit that you see from Caldalis. You can see that once we remove that inter-weapon delay, first of all, it looked really funny how quickly he's attacking. You can see that these damage numbers now are much closer to what we are calculating from the calculator. Now do note that these DPS values are somewhat inaccurate, and they get more and more inaccurate when you have faster attack speeds, where the animations don't really complete. The DPS tends to fluctuate a lot. But you can see that we are starting to get nearer to the 200 or near the 300 DPS that we were initially expecting from Caldalis, even though that you can see there's a 270, 250 over there. So this is the reason why the weapon speed is limited for Caldalis. Now you might be asking, and rightfully so, are there any other units that have this hard limitation? And one of the other ones that is also limited is the Colossus. Over here, I've given this Colossus a 0 weapon speed. It has no delay between its attacks. And you can see that its beam weapon is what is causing the delay, is it has to wait for the beam attack to finish before it starts the next beam. So again, likewise, we have Warbringer here, but what I've done with Warbringer is I've actually removed those delays. So let's take a look and see what it looks like when you actually attack this little thing here. So we're going to send him to attack, and this is what it looks like when Warbringer is attacking without those delays present. It's just a beam of death over here. So you can see the impact of this. It's much more emphasized with the Colossus because the Colossus weapon animation is pretty long. If you remove the delay between the Colossus weapons, this is what you get with a 0 weapon speed. And just for those of you curious, because I know it's gonna get asked, this is what the 5 champions. I've ignored Kolarian over here because it doesn't really have an attack per se. But this is what all the 5 champions look like when they have their attack speeds just completely maxed out. I haven't done it for the Adept Shades, but you can see here Dallas having 0 weapon speed. Here is Daldarn with 0 weapon speed. Caldalis with 0 weapon speed. Mojo with the 0 weapon speed, and of course you've seen Warbringer already with the 0 weapon speed. And actually this thing, which has an insane amount of health regen, actually may end up getting killed off at some point, but there you go. That's what it looks like when all the champion AIs have 0 attack speed. Now most of the time, you will never be able to achieve the attack speeds that reach a weapon's limit. However, for Phoenix, his prestiges, combined with his champion AI attack speed mastery, combined with the Avenging Protocol, can actually get you to reach these hard limits for a unit's weapons. For most intents and purposes, it's not really practical to worry about them, which is why I included this in a For the Curious video and not the Commander tip, but it's something you should be aware of. So I hope this video was useful, and I hope this video shined a little bit more light on how attack speeds work, and maybe gave you a little bit more insight to things that you should be paying attention to if you want to play at really the most optimal levels of co-op.